Alright, I don't know why. Felt like I should say this, but I have a feeling that this is gonna just be a nothing burger of a video. And I'm gonna try not to make it too rambly, but I have a feeling it's gonna come out that way. I'm just gonna talk about my general thoughts on the MLB offseason. I'm not talking predictions where I think some of the bigger free agents are gonna go. I'm not talking about that. So sorry to disappoint. I'm just gonna talk about my thoughts as a whole. Let's start off. First and foremost, I'm a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, as you can see. So keep that in mind as I probably ramble on. I love the game of baseball. And that's the key word. I love the game of baseball. I do not, however, love the sport. I think the sport is very unfair. And I say that because there is a drastic difference between the large market teams, your Dodgers, your Yankees, your Red Sox, etc., and then your smaller market teams like your Pirates, your Royals, your Reds, your etc., etc., etc. Now, I suppose I should bring up the elephant in the room. The LA Dodgers, of course, very good team, just won back-to-back World Series championships. I'm not here to say to you that the Dodgers are ruining baseball. I never thought that. However, and you know what? I'm man enough to admit, if I were the Dodgers owner, I would be doing the exact same thing. Because if the MLB allows you to do it, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do it? Now, the reason I think the game is unfair is because there is absolutely no stopping these teams from doing what they can do. The Dodgers can go out and take some of the bigger free agents of this offseason, for example. Like, let's just take Pete Alonso, who opted out of his contract with the Mets. Pete Alonso, very good baseball player. Let's say, he wants big contract. He wants a very big contract. Teams like the Royals and the Pirates and the Reds are not going to be able to provide that. They're just not. So that leads to a lot of the bigger free agents, such as, let's say, your Freddie Freemans, for example, your Juan Sotos, for example, going to some of these larger market teams, like the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, Red Sox, etc. So it leads to the same few teams being good every year. And I don't think that's good for the game, because I think that there are some teams that I think that when they're good, I think the sport as a whole is better. Take the Cubs, for example. They missed the playoffs there for a few years, but I do genuinely think, as much as I hate the Cubs, I think the MLB is better as a whole when the Cubs are good in making the playoffs. I can say that about a lot of different teams. Like the Pirates, for example. I think the MLB is better when the Pirates are in the playoffs and are doing well. They're a historic franchise with a very loyal fan base. Now, let me get into my main concern. Baseball does not have a salary cap, as I'm sure the majority of people realize. Baseball doesn't have a way to stop the Dodgers and the Yankees from doing what by spending all of their money on all these free agents. And I think that makes the game extremely unfair. Now, of course, you have the luxury tax, but that isn't that great. It doesn't help that much. So, here's my idea. A salary floor, I think, would really help baseball a lot, because as much as I want to say, oh yeah, salary cap, that would really only hurt the big teams. It wouldn't help out teams like the Pirates, your Royals, the Reds. It wouldn't help those teams. It wouldn't hurt them. What would help the MLB as a whole would be a salary floor. And the reason I say that is because you have teams like the Athletics, the Pirates, the Rockies, Marlins, who stink every year. Every year they stink, and they don't spend money on the team because the owners are cheap. That's where I think a salary floor could come in. That way it forces the owners to spend at least a little bit of money on the team. That way fans aren't suffering for 20 years. They actually get more competitive games because the owners want to spend more money on quality players as opposed to just letting them walk. Because why would you spend money on a player? Because what does it hurt you at all? How does it help you? You're still making a ton of money if you're the owner. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think a salary floor would be great for the MLB to do. Let's take the NFL, for example. The NFL has a rule in place where you have to spend, I think it's 95% of your cap space over a 3-year time span. I think that's what it is. It's something like that. I'm not saying the MLB has to do exactly that, but I mean, improvise, improvise a bit. I don't know, those are my thoughts. I don't want this to be a super long video. I don't want it to be all rambly. Those are just my general opinions. But yeah, during this time of year, I absolutely love the game of baseball, but I completely tune out of the off season. And again, maybe that's just because I'm a Pirates fan, so maybe, yes, I am probably slightly biased. But, I do genuinely think it's a problem with the MLB. And as a result, I completely tune myself out of any off-season action. And so it takes me a couple weeks to realize what's actually going on in the MLB. And, I'm like, oh, that player is there. Or, oh, this player went there in the off-season. Or, oh, how'd that person get there? Or whatever. It takes me a couple weeks to realize what's actually going on because I completely tuned myself out of the MLB off-season. Because I don't like how it's set up. And again, I might be biased, and maybe it probably is, but I do genuinely think the MLB would be better if it had a salary floor. And again, I don't think a salary cap would really solve anything. It would just really hurt teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers. But it wouldn't stop teams like the Pirates and Rockies from doing what they've been doing for so long now. I don't know. I love baseball. The game. I love the game of baseball. Not the biggest fan of the sport. And that's all I have to say about that. Oh well.